Hey everybody, welcome to the Johansson show. Joining me today, the Malaysian Mob Boss Gotham. Gotham, thank you for coming on.
Oh man, it's a great pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on your show. And hey, everyone is watching it.
Nah, really excited. It's been a long time coming. I know it was a lot difficult. New dad with the time zones to get something lined up. So I'm happy we finally made it happen because through my journey looking into the Southeast Asian wrestling, you're a name that always pops up in the research, and I know from your social medias, especially on your personal Facebook, you've got a lot going on. It'll be really cool to talk about it. Plus, I'm a DC and Batman fan. I don't know if that influenced your name, but Gotham.
Likewise, I'm a diehard Batman fan.
Is that where the name came from then?
No, actually, interestingly, it is my real name. Actually, to be honest, right. So the real name has a spelling of Goutham. So for wrestling, what they did, they just took out the U and made it Gotham.
Right. That makes sense now. Because obviously you don't have that on your Facebook, so I just thought it might have been your wrestling name.
Yeah, it's a wrestling name. On Facebook, I have it as Alibaba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. It fits though, with your presence and your persona, and being the Malaysian mob boss to also being called Gotham, obviously ripe with mob bosses and villains. And do you try and take the DC Gotham into your character at all?
No, not really. The way the name came up was a funny story. So when I met Shaukat first, it was one of my tryouts way back in 2014, I guess. Okay. So I met him, and I was trying out to be a professional wrestler. So the first thing that he mentioned to me was, if you get through this entire tryout trainings and when it's time to debut, I want you to have the name Gotham. And I was like, okay, can't argue much because he's the boss. So. Yeah. But in elements of DC wise, not really. No, I've never looked into that. No.
But you did mention you're a Batman fan.
Oh yeah, a huge Batman
fan. Is that the movies or the comics or?
It started off with the cartoons first. I watched the Batman animated series. The way back in 91, I think 92. Got into comics and then movies. I watched all of it. I think by far, I'm not sure if it's questionable or what, but the favorite Batman for me is Christian Bale.
Yeah, definitely. With the Dark Knight trilogy, there's rumors he's supposed to be returning for the Flashpoint movie.
Right.
I know they've got Keaton on board, and Bale was reaching out to see I can't remember who off the top of my head now. Nolan reached out to Nolan, would you mind if I did a cameo, because it was his portrayal of Batman, I guess. But it's weird, especially with Batman, because I don't know if they're coming or going. You've got Batwoman, the TV show that's got their second casting of Batwoman. You've had the Gotham TV show.
Gotham TV show.
Now great. I believe they're doing another show very similar to Gotham.
And I think Jared Leto is kind of teasing coming back as the Joker or something now on his Instagram and stuff, right?
That's for the Justice League remake, isn't it? The Snyder's Cut. So I'm excited for that, because it just seems like the DC movies have no direction, because they try and compete with Marvel.
Yeah, being a DC fan, especially Batman and stuff, it's sad to see that they have no direction. It's not going anywhere, to be honest. But for Marvel, the entire MCU universe thing they pulled up with the Avengers was just spectacular.
Exactly. You can't rush duplicating what they made. Have you been watching WandaVision?
Oh yeah, I finished it. I think I'm waiting for episode 6 now.
Yeah. What's your thoughts been on it so far?
Okay, initially when it started off, I was actually hooked onto it because it was something different. The story was not really. I enjoyed it. Yeah. It was not really heavy in the start of it. No spoilers for anyone or who have not watched it, but as it progresses, you are actually okay, they have a story that is interconnected, that is going on even in their TV series, and man, that's really cool.
I know. Like, I don't want to mention like the big reveal at the end, just in case somebody hasn't watched it. But
Yeah,
that reveal's just got so many thoughts going into my mind. Because obviously they represent two different kind of little lines, I guess. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting. Like if they do decide across this, the next Doctor Strange and the next Spider-Man movie, it seems like all three of them may include people from different universes. So it'll be interesting to see now that Disney have acquired Fox, if they're going to bring in all the Fantastic Four, the Marvel guys, and
I don't know. I think these guys, they have planned out the entire thing perfectly. That it's really hard to overtake them. So DC has to pull off something that is something that they're not going to expect.
Exactly. And again, I don't know if doing that is because they're going to have the new Batman film where it's a different timeline to every other film. I'm looking forward to Patterson as Batman. I think he'll do well. I know a lot of people slate him because he was the sparkly vampire in Twilight. But since then, like his acting ability, he's done some really good stuff. So I think as like we'll see if he'll do as well as a Batman, but as a Bruce Wayne, I think he'll do all right.
I don't know about you, man, but for me, when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, it's probably the year 1 or year 2 of him being Batman. But as Bruce Wayne, I don't know, he pulls off a more Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond kind of look, and I was like, so I like the Batman costume though, and the violence in it, it's nice because that's how Batman used to be in the start in the comics.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they kept that element, but for Bruce Wayne, I'm still skeptical about it.
I don't know. I think if it's going to be interesting. I just hope they get it settled down because I know what's going to happen with Affleck. Like, is he still going to be Batman, or are we going to have two different Batmen and two different series? We can't have a third person just jump in like, "Hey, I'm going to be the new Batman now." I think it just needs some continuity to try and get to like where Marvel is.
Yeah. But
anyways,
I don't know. Yeah.
We'll hear about yourself and like obviously your career. And you mentioned doing your tryout with Shaukat. Like, what was that whole experience like?
Oh man. Okay, so I started liking wrestling back in 95, 96, I guess. Okay. And that's when I first started watching wrestling. And, this caption used to come up a lot, don't try this at home. But
we all tried.
We all, like everyone else, we all tried it at home and stuff. So when I got to, when I found out that they had wrestling here in Malaysia and Shaukat opened it, contacted him, went for tryouts, but I did not know that, I'm going to end up in that sort of a bad situation.
Yeah.
In a good way, because when I walked in the first day, I thought it's going to be easy. They're going to talk about character and, how you're going to build your stuff. I had no clue on how the business works, right? It was just watching them on TV, playing them on the PlayStation, and then now here I am. So I thought that's how it works. And I got into the ring, and I had to do some physical exercises like drills and stuff. And man, I think I blacked out twice, I guess. Wow. I can't remember it. That was how tough it was for me. And to take simple bumps in the ring, I think I had a whiplash, if not mistaken. So I had no idea. Like for a while, I was dazed. Like, okay, what is actually happening? And I remember Shaukat telling me, he told me that to reconsider if I would want to, pursue this because I didn't pass the tryouts at that time.
Yeah,
I barely made it, and I think that was one of the motivating factors to me to like get back, to like say no, I'm here and I can't lose this opportunity now, so to get back to it, right? So that's how it entirely began, and that was my experience on the tryouts with him, man.
So if you didn't get through the trials, like when did you then get through?
It was through time after that. So I spoke to him, and then I got back to about a couple of trainings later on.
Yeah.
Body feeling sore and hardly could move and all that, but it slowly picked up, I guess. I started learning how to do the drills, like basic front row, back rows, push-ups and stuff. And then I was like, okay. So probably he saw something there. And he was like, okay, this guy got something, maybe.
And it was definitely right. Like again, what you've been doing like through your career, and especially like what you've been doing more recently with APAC, which we'll get into. Who was it that you was like a fan of when you first started watching wrestling?
Oh, The Undertaker. I was always hooked on to the Phenom.
Have you watched
Yeah,
Have you watched any of his interviews since he's retired?
Yeah. I followed the entire Last Ride thing that he did, documentary, and his podcast. A lot of off-character podcast that he does now as Mark Calloway. So it's really it's different to see him in that perspective, because to me it was always The Undertaker and was such a protected character.
Yeah.
So even watching The Last Ride, I was like, damn, Mark is really, he's such a humble and approachable person. I always thought of him being this guy who's reserved and you don't want to mess with him.
Yeah.
Kind of guy, right? So yeah, I've followed his podcast. That's one of the things I actively do now. Like if there's any updates for The Undertaker, I'm watching it.
I'm the same. Like the missus, she's not into wrestling, so she'll be watching something on the TV. I'll either have it on my phone or my laptop, and I'm constantly just stopping and telling her stuff. Like through the two that I did with Austin, where he talks about the pyro, where it set him on fire at the Elimination Chamber, and then with Joe Rogan, I don't know if you've watched or listened to that.
Yeah. He's that's I think his latest podcast. Right? It's a big overhaul that's been going on for some things that he said.
But it was just the fact that he had a broken neck and he didn't know about it, and he nearly lost his eye from shattering like all the orbital part, and then nearly did it again with the second one. And
it's a lifelong damage. He says that he has this light running through and he looks sideways. I was like, damn.
But I don't think I'm doing it right, because I'm telling the missus this, and at the same time she has my daughter on her knee. I went, but you're going to go train to be a wrestler, aren't you? And she's like, no, she isn't. You can't tell me about all this and then say she's going to go wrestle. So how did it feel when you finally got accepted by Shaukat? Was this with MyPW?
Yeah, it was back then. It was under MyPW. To be honest with you, it was a relief. And I wouldn't say success, because as of now, till this point, I don't define myself as successful yet, because I haven't reached my personal goals. So, so for me, success is when I'm finally willing to retire. I'll probably say, when I'm at peace with myself, and then I succeeded. But when I got the confirmation from Shaukat and when he accepted me, it was like one step closer to achieving what I wanted to do in the ring.
Yeah.
Right. So
how long was the time scale of you doing your first tryout to then being accepted?
It was not that long actually, because back then the syllabus, I guess, was a bit different. So we were one of the veterans in the scene. So tryouts, when I went the first day, I barely got through it. So I kept in touch with him. I came back, I think, for a couple more classes, like trainings after that. I think a week or two later, when I came back, and it just kicked off from there.
Oh, brilliant. So what would you say are some of your highlights, especially with MyPW?
Sorry,
what would you say some of your highlights for MyPW are?
Oh, the highlights. Well, for me would be definitely one of the biggest moments off my head, I could say, is the first time actually being in the ring with Shaukat. So it was a kick to, it was a kickstart to getting to slot in the main event. After that would be winning definitely the match with Daryl Wong. We had this storyline going on, title versus career match kind of thing, where I got the Undisputed Championship. That's a night that I will not forget. Another highlight of me would be, which I personally I felt this was organic and I enjoyed, was the night that Phoenix won the title. No, Phoenix, right? When she won the title from me. It's not about the wins and losses, but it's that moment that I witnessed when she got the title. I think that is one of the best moments for me in the ring as well.
Yeah, she's done some great stuff, like the publicity around her and her growth in the ring. But what was it about that moment of her beating you for the title that makes it so special?
See, at that moment, I was already being in the main event line and with my guys, the Feral Lions, so we were dominating the storylines, and I actually liked that this person, Phoenix, getting into the match with guys, and she's coming up victorious. It was unexpected to a lot of people, and that night it was also unexpected to Phoenix as well. So the ones who knew in the match were probably myself, Shaukat, I'm not mistaken, the Feral Lions. So we knew like what's going to happen, but that moment for Phoenix, it was organic. She did not know that she's going over, right?
Oh wow!
In the match. So we kept it close to chest, and that's how we played it. So at that moment when the third count came, the bell hit. It was a relief to see her in the ring, and personally, she deserves it. That's what I feel, and I was happy to just get her the title, and it boomed. She's worldwide now, so it's great.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, she's worldwide, and I was having a look through like the APAC Wrestling stuff. Again, we'll get onto your time with them recently, but I believe it was her match from week 2 against Poppy. Like that has over 5,000 views.
Yes,
That's incredible. And I think it's a testament to like both of those. Like Poppy to the scene. So what can you tell us about like Poppy?
Sorry, your line broke up again.
Yeah, so with 5.4 thousand views, like obviously not was against Poppy. Poppy was somebody that's only discovered APAC Wrestling, is that correct?
Yeah.
Tell
She
us a bit about
was.
Poppy.
Poppy to me is really talented. She left, she took a hiatus in the wrestling scene for some time, but when she came back, she was able to pull off stuff that you wouldn't expect someone to have not gotten in the ring for that one. So, she managed to brush off the ring rust and get back and doing stuff. So to me, Poppy being one of the vets as well, and I think the first female wrestler in Malaysia, if not mistaken. It's great, yeah. So to me, I think that she is really talented as well. So both of them in the ring, Poppy, and now you got Phoenix, and now upcoming is Luna as well. So I think the women's division is growing, and they all have their own special traits to bring into this business.
Oh, brilliant. So through your career, like who else is there that you get told, right, you're going to be working this person that you get excited about, and like I like working with these.
Okay, so overall, if you're talking Shaukat, definitely, you get to work with Shaukat, it means you're one of the big guys, the big players in the game. Apart from that, apart from the obvious, I also enjoyed my time working with Daryl back then before he took a hiatus or when he had to get his personal stuff done. So it was fun because me and Daryl, we really understood each other in the ring and how we worked. And I think we have worked like about 5-6 matches. So it was easy to work with him. Other people that I enjoy working now would be with the Jackie G would be one of them. Jackie G, so I had a match with him, 1 or 2 matches, if I'm not mistaken, so far, and it's really nice to work with him. Srigala is a guy that I really enjoy working with because not many people actually pick me up and are able to, throw me over their head for belly or gorilla press. So when he does this stuff, it's like, okay, so I feel like the small guy now, and so Srigala, yeah. So off my head, these are some of the people that I could think of. I never got a chance to work with JYE since he he was a face, but now he's a heel. So we never got a chance to work. But probably down the line, if there is a chance, I would want to work with him as well.
Have you had a chance to work with Eman?
No, unfortunately, no. I never got a chance to work with him and the kid, the Golden Boy. I think we could have pulled off something. He's really, really talented, where he moves and stuff, but it didn't happen. We didn't get a chance to work together.
No, now he's stuck in Australia.
Yeah.
So I know, obviously, with Malaysia, whilst we're still on with like my people, will you still be working for them in the future? Like, because I know Shaukat's just focusing on APAC at the moment. Like, what's your situation?
At this moment, we are all those who are in APAC are in APAC now at the moment, right? So we are able to work with other promotions as well, but exclusivity, being exclusive or being under a promotion for Gotham now, it's in APAC.
Oh, brilliant. So when people are trying to look into Malaysian wrestling, describe it like, what should they expect from watching shows in Malaysia?
A lot of things actually. One of the things that they tend to expect, or they tend to make fun of, is probably the thing that they start comparing with WWE. But being and it's pretty obvious. I think it happens to a lot of other promotions as well. But being a homegrown promotion in Malaysia, I think you could look out for guys and girls who are actually doing this on a professional level. We have a lot of storylines that are happening as well. So the creative team takes a lot of time in deciding who goes against who and what are the storylines to make it entertainment based. And I think it's picking up now, to be honest. It's just that with the pandemic, we can't do a lot of live events, but on and off, we're trying to get the stuff out on YouTube and other platforms to see if it works out. So they could expect good storylines, different characters,
Yeah, and to be fair, considering there's a pandemic, what you've done with APAC and the quick growth it's had, and the recognition and stuff like that is been tremendous. But before we get onto that, like, what was your experiences like in Singapore?
Singapore was great, actually. I think that was my first international booking, by the way. It was against the Lady Killer, Dennis. So getting to Singapore was, I think, an establishment, or also the second stage, I would say. Another stepping stone that I achieved was to to get my name out in international markets. So working in Singapore, it was different, especially GP, Grapple Max, right?
Yeah.
It was different with Grapple Max because they are more of their fans, or their crowd is pretty close.
Yeah.
So you get a very, it's a different feel. It's not like how you used to work in the ring. And SPW was also great. Their fans were really, wild and into the storylines and stuff. I would love to get to Singapore and work, matches with them again in the future.
Yeah. Is there anybody from Singapore that you'd want to work with?
Yeah. I think I've worked with Dr. Gore now in 2 matches. It was fun working with Gore. I want to work with the Butcher Man. So on and off, we have a few conversations, and we just keep in touch off wrestling. Sometimes for I just wish him for his birthday and stuff like that, and likewise. So Butcher Man is one of them. I want to work with Greg Dennis again. DJ Carl. I had a match with DJ Carl, but it was very short during an event we had in Mall Brawl. So it's just like, so probably a match with DJ Carl would be nice again. Some of the people just off, anyone. I think for now, these are the guys that off my head I can think of that I would really want to work with.
So Singapore was your second stage. Like, have you been to any other countries to wrestle?
No, so far I've only been to Malaysia and Singapore.
Do you think, obviously, when the pandemic changes, do you think that could change with like APAC, because it's Asian Pacific region based, not just Malaysian based?
Yes, I think it could actually. I think there's a lot of things are in store now for APAC. I don't really have the details and all that, not being in the management side. But I believe that once the borders are open, and like what Shaukat also said, that he's looking to get guys over from the borders and everywhere from the region. I think it's going to open a lot of opportunities for not only people who are, not only the guys and girls who are in APAC, but around the region as well. We'll be able
definitely.
to work together in this. Yeah.
So, what was your first reaction when you got told about APAC?
I was shocked, actually. I was shocked. I was like, okay, it's interesting. A new promotion is coming up, and it's interesting. And when I got the call to work for APAC, like I said, to me, it's all about upgrading. So my PW was a school where I learned the craft, and I got onto the platform, and now moving on to a legit promotion, it's another step closer. So to me, it's a big thing. And the way that APEC kicked off with the recognition it got and the fans behind us, it's to me, it's a blessed. It's something that I'm blessed to be doing.
Yeah. What's the difference with working for APAC than my PW?
I think the way that we used to do things in my PW back then, it was a school, so we just could, we probably did a match probably 2 months once in every show, live shows that we had. But when it came to APEC, it was a different ballgame because it was during the pandemic time, and so we didn't have live audiences at that time. So each of us who were involved in it had to adapt to working without a live audience or the reaction. So we needed to be more story based, and so that the fans who are watching it on screen would probably relate or could feel what TV kind of wrestling is.
Yeah.
So that's one major thing that we had to work on, and the differences that I feel.
How did you find not wrestling in front of crowds? Like everybody that I've spoken to that has just talk about it zaps the adrenaline, and obviously adrenaline's what masks all the bumps and all the pains and stuff like that. So what's it been like for you?
I think for me the adrenaline is probably still there. Because having worked a lot of matches ever since 2015 and so right. But every time when I get or when my music hits or when I'm behind the curtain, I'm always nervous. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's when the adrenaline kicks in, and when you go in, to me, the crowd is a very big factor that is missing, because as pro wrestlers and adapting to this kind of wrestling, and not only the type of wrestling that we do now, but I think overall as pro wrestlers, we need to feed off the fans, like their reaction, for us to tell a better story in the ring, or how do we react, to change or just work organically. So without the fans there and them feeding the energy to us, it's a bit hard.
Nah, I can imagine. What matches would, again, APAC, it's all on YouTube at the moment. What matches would you recommend people to go check out, whether that's your own or some of the others where you're like, man, that's cool?
Definitely Shaukat's one, because I would say if you want to learn a lot about doing TV style wrestling, or how to, the benchmark, being a benchmark of that in probably, no offense to anyone, but to me, I think that he, being self-taught and, all this while, and, he's made it, So I would say to watch his matches, even up to today, I do that. I do it. I watch his matches for a lot of match studies. I get a lot of pointers from him.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could watch him. You could watch Gotham if you want to have fun with the mob boss and what he does in the ring, kind of style. Powerhouse, go for Srigala. Technical style, you could look at a lot of Phoenix. He does a lot of technical wrestling and stuff. Yeah.
Just to put it out there, one of your matches is actually one of the highest viewed ones with, is it Azroy?
Azroy, yeah. He's
2,500 views that's currently got.
Yeah.
So how does it feel that a new promotion, and again, when you think about your career, you don't think you've made it, or you've not done what you want to do, but you're still getting 2,500 people just wanting to watch that match?
I think it's It's actually an overwhelming feelings. Like it's a new promotion, so I'm thinking that we have the old fans and you guys are coming up to watch this. And Azroy is someone who is really a good competitor. He's someone who's upcoming. He has a long way to go, but he'll get there eventually. We are all learning on this, but he's someone that you could have an eye out. But on that match alone, 2,500 views. To me, it was overwhelming. Like, okay, so people are actually looking at it, and it's great. So I can only say thank you for the support. And I hope they improve and give you guys better matches in future.
No, and it's only going to get out to more eyes, like in a what's described as a historical feat. APAC's landed itself a network deal. OTT platform, Sign, is it?
Yes, yeah. It's on a Cine Plus. So it's a platform where I think it's around Asia. So you've got different contents like wrestling, and then a few other contents might be coming up, movies, probably series, I don't know.
What's your thoughts when you got told about that TV deal?
It's something that we have been looking for a very long time. Had multiple conversations with Shaukat and some of the boys backstage, like we need to get a TV deal or probably get to a platform to widen the range and probably get noticed out there. And I think it's a great time that it happened now. And APAC has signed the deal, and it's great. So hoping to reach the audiences.
Yeah, because it's the full episodes that are airing on there.
Right.
Am I right in thinking a full episode's already aired now?
Yes, we do have full episodes now, but they're more for PPV kind of view thing. So normal matches would probably still be on YouTube. I'm not mistaken. But those special ones, like 1 hour plus, is our PPV matches.
Oh, brilliant! But no, that's huge. Like, again, for you to be created during a pandemic to also probably at the point it was probably about a month and a half in to get a network deal has been great, and I think a lot of it is like a testament to Shaukat's work ethic as well. Like,
certainly.
He's got. How does it feel, the fact that he got pro wrestling identified as a actual sport from the Malaysian government?
It feels great because TV deals being legitimized as a sport as well. These are all big things that we were actually looking for, and in the start it was more of conversations, and as time went on and when it really achieved it, it's a big relief. So at that point of time, getting the to become a legit sport in Malaysia, thanks to Ayers and whoever was involved at that time, the management and stuff, TV deals. So to me, it could not have been done if it wasn't for Shaukat at that time. He was the guy who formed wrestling here. He's the guy who is actually carrying us all the way. Not only trainings but putting us out there. So it's all him.
Yeah. Do you think he will get signed by WWE?
I really hope he gets signed by WWE. To be honest, I really want to see him on TV, and it's as a student of him, I think it would be a very proud moment for me to finally get your coach there, or the guy who introduced you in wrestling, to actually be on TV. It's like, damn, he made it.
Because it's something they're clearly interested in. Like, they've come across to Southeast Asia, done a couple of different seminars and different tryouts and things like that, and these talks of them opening up an NXT in Japan. They've just announced they're opening NXT India, so it's clearly a goal of theirs. And do you think the success of APAC might speed that along? Because I've always said, if they do NXT Japan, or if they want to incorporate with India, but to do like an NXT Asia, where they're going to be bringing in people from Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, whether or not that's going to be part of the Japan brand or maybe the India brand, do you think that might rush their plans, seeing how well APAC's doing?
I don't know. It probably with the range or the reach that we're getting now, it's anything is possible, to be honest. So for them to open NXT Asia or to come down to Malaysia, to me, I'm going to be positive in this. I'm going to say it can happen.
Yeah.
But when, I'm not sure. But it's just that we all have to be ready when it happens. We don't want to miss that opportunity.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
The only reason I asked is like with NXT UK, that was something they tried and tested with. They did a tournament and got a title, but they didn't do a show.
Mm-hmm.
And then before we know it, World of Sport went from just being a special to now having weekly television again. And then before we know it, NXT UK are going to do weekly television again and
Yeah.
signed a lot of the World of Sport guys as soon as they became available. So I think it will only be good that they're wanting to explore these markets. And how would it feel if you were to be part of like whether it's NXT Asia or NXT Japan representing Malaysia?
Oh man, I probably might be in tears even if I got the call, like, just to come and try out from them, because WWE is always the dream that I had.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned in the start, it's for me success would be the time when I probably am willing to retire from whatever I'm doing,
Yeah.
or when I get to WB. So so to get a call from them, I think that would be really something.
Yeah.
And I'm working for that. I'm working for that. God willingly, if it happens.
Nah, like fingers crossed. Like the
Yeah.
way they are showcasing wrestling around the world, like it's going to be an interesting couple of years, especially in terms of all the different WWE territories. But I'd seen the article on, was it the Sun?
Oh yeah, it was the Sun article. Yeah.
How does that feel like, even just doing these big media? I know it spoke about your music as well, which we'll get into.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel?
It was great. I think this would be the first news article which was written solely for me
Yeah.
on covering my story. So it was great. Got the call from the reporter, and he was like, "I want to do a write up about you and stuff." And I was like, "Oh damn!" Once again, have to say this. Thanks to Shaukat for saying to cover me in the story. So it was great, and I managed to tell a lot of different stuff like my journey and how wrestling saved me, and and stuff like that. So probably they know, or those who have read it probably know a bit more of me off character.
Yeah. So for those that may not have read it yet, like how did wrestling save you?
Okay, so the story goes when I think it's back in 2017. So at that point of time, I lost my dad on 21st of April. Yeah, I lost my dad, and my performance was declining. I was going through a really rough patch,
Yeah.
a rough time, and I resorted to alcohol at that time. I could not sleep. I could not sleep. I was getting nightmares, and there would be days that I probably just sleep for an hour or so, and that's it. So down the road, I resorted to alcohol, and I used to take that on large amounts to knock me out. That was the only way I could sleep at that time.
Yeah.
So when I got back into training, and it was during training one day that Shaukat noticed I was totally off, like the basic stuff. So I could not even portray myself as the mob boss. That
Yeah.
the basic stuff. So he called me aside and he asked me what was going on, and I told him, yeah. So this is what's happening. I'm taking this alcohol, and I need to sleep. I don't know what's going on. So he was one of the guys who would be there for me, on a constant basis by saying that, it's okay. I'm here for you if you need anything. You could reach out to me. He's a guy who gives his students tough love kind of thing. You don't really get him off character that much.
Yeah.
But for him to pull me aside, I remember that he hugged me and he said that come back to wrestling. We are here for you. I'm here for you, and that's how my time went. So apart from music and my music producer keeping in touch, but most of the time it was Shaukat, and it was wrestling. So I don't think if it was for wrestling at that time, being there to fill the void that I had,
Yeah.
And Shaukat, I think I would have been lost in that road that I was going down because it was getting pretty bad already, you know,
Yeah.
from the
No,
state.
it's
Yeah, the times I used to come home and stuff.
yeah. No, it's great that Shaukat one identified it, and then was able to like reach out to you and kind of like pull you
Yeah.
back in, through wrestling. And you mentioned your music. Like, tell us a bit about your music. How did that start?
Okay, that's how the name Alibaba came off.
Okay.
It's my stage name which I use for music. I got into the industry, I think, 2009.
Yeah.
I met this music producer, MC Bullet. So I met him, and it was a very awkward meeting, I would say, right? So I met him, and we had a conversation. Uh, was on the verge of being rejected at that time by him, but turn of events, he took me in as his first student, and yeah, and then he taught me on the beats, on
Yeah.
how do you count beats, how do you do lyrics. So I'm mostly on hip hop rap style. So how to do old school lyrics, and what are the terms you use, the techniques. So through that, I released a couple of tracks. I think about a year or two later, a couple of singles out. Performed on stages from Singapore right up to Malaysia in the inside. So did a lot of live performances. I was supposed to release an album, but it didn't work out with the studio back then. The record label I was attached to, it didn't work out. So I was off music for a while, and that's when I got into wrestling. And yeah, it picked up from there. So wrestling and acting and stuff.
Yeah. Are you still doing any music now?
Yes, to be honest with you, I'm still working on my music. I just got back into the industry again. And yeah, so I'm working back on some projects, hoping to release soon. Pandemic has not been in favor for us at this time, but
Yeah.
on and off we are working on some things. So we might release probably anytime soon now once we could get back to the studio and record stuff.
Yeah, brilliant. Because is it Monster Village that I saw that you was with?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. It's Monster Village Entertainment. So it's a deal that I signed with them,
Yeah.
owned by MC Bullet. So he opened up his studio, called me in. He offered me a contract.
Yeah.
So got a contract as a record label artist, and now I'm doing, I'm working on projects. Hopefully to release an album soon if can.
Yeah.
Still in the verge of discussing on that, but other projects maybe like singles and stuff would probably be out soon.
Ah, great. And you mentioned acting, and I'd seen across on like social media as well, um, an actual film based around pro wrestling in Malaysia. Is it Gila Gusti?
Yeah, Gila Gusti. It's the first wrestling movie in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah,
Wow.
it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So getting to APAC and working all this, it's great.
Like, in terms of like the people that are doing the movie, like how big is it?
It is really big. I wouldn't want to release a lot of names yet,
Yeah.
the storylines of the movie, the story of the movie and stuff. But being a first wrestling movie to be shot in Malaysia, it's a big thing. So it doesn't really touch or mostly, or the movie is not entirely on wrestling in the action that happens in the ring, but we're also going to take stuff that goes on backstage, a lot of family things that goes on in the wrestler's life.
Yeah.
So it's a very semi-action comedy based movie that people can look forward to.
Oh, that'd be fun. Um, what language is it filmed in?
It's it's mainly in Bahasa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly in Malay. So there's a bit of English here and there, we kept in it. Yeah.
I'll have to check it out with the English subtitles then.
Oh yeah.
But no, like I'd been seeing, and again with that movie, with APAC, with your music, like you've got a hell of a lot going on considering there's a pandemic going on.
Yeah, a lot. Keeping myself busy, man.
Nah, that's good. So What are your other goals? You mentioned obviously WWE we've spoken about, but what
Mhm.
are your goals in wrestling? Is there anywhere you wanting to travel? Any you
Sorry.
wanted to work for other than WWE?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm losing you here.
So with your goals, like we mentioned, heading to WWE,
Hmm.
is there any other country that you want to travel to? Is there any other companies around the world that you want to work for? What are your goals left in wrestling?
Uh, to me, the ultimatum would be WWE. That's it. But it's not about the traveling part and stuff. It's to be under the WWE umbrella to actually
Yeah,
get a contract and work with them. That's a dream come true. Other companies I would like to work with is Ring of Honor.
yeah,
That would be one of it. So I watched some of their matches. Reality of Wrestling. Booker T's one would be one of the companies I would like to work for as well.
yeah.
So these things, but the main goal is definitely WB. And to get there, it's not about the traveling. It's not about the seeing the country or not. It's just that something I've always been wanting to do.
Yeah,
So
it's the
it's
ultimate goal.
yeah.
No, hopefully, like a lot of the stories that I've spoken to with people from the UK is for them to wrestle for WWE used to be something so unattainable because they'd only take a couple of people
Yeah.
that every year from the tryouts, whereas now with NXT UK, something that was so far in the distance is now very much attainable. I'm not saying it's easy for them because they've still got to put the hard work in and graft, but they've got that clear route way. And I think with WWE coming over to Southeast Asia, doing the tryouts and opening up NXT India, the rumors of NXT Japan, or with one of those, hopefully that can kind of incorporate people from like across the Asian Pacific region because with NXT UK we bring people in from Germany, Italy, Spain, France, Austria,
Mhm.
Russia. So it isn't where it's just it has to be that it brings in the
Yeah.
neighboring countries.
Hopefully they are looking to expand their market here in Asia, and we get a call to go.
if if you were to be brought into like if Malaysian wrestlers and Singaporean wrestlers were to be brought into one of the NXT systems, if it was
Mhm.
NXT Japan or NXT India, which one do you think would be better suited for you guys?
Uh, I'm not sure on that aspect yet, to be honest with you. But I would say that being in NXT alone itself is best already.
Yeah,
But probably I'm saying probably Japan. No offense to NXT India or what, but probably Japan because they have a wider coverage, if I'm mistaken.
yeah.
But my facts might be wrong in this, so if I'm wrong, I'm looking to be corrected in this. Probably in the comment sections or what, but I would say NXT Japan. Maybe.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how well NXT India do because the showcase thing that they got millions of viewers when they
Yeah,
put that on. And they do well when they go to whether it's like Saudi and places like that. Whereas Japan is more of a it's got the new Japan, it's got all the different independents in and around there.
hmm
So it's got that wrestling culture. But it'll be interesting if it's accepted because NXT Japan will be very much different to what New Japan Pro Wrestling will be or All
yeah,
Japan Pro Wrestling. So it'll be really interesting to see how both of them will go. And yeah,
hmm
hopefully sooner rather than later we can see people like yourself and Shaukat and even from like Singapore with like Andrew Tang and Alexis Lee popping up because I think you all deserve it. Like over the past couple of years, I know it's still you're rising. You're not quite hit that boom, but I
yeah.
think you're going in the right direction. And I think again, it's hard to disagree with everything that's happening with like APAC. So it'll be really interesting to see how big APAC can get once borders are open and the coronavirus pandemic's disappeared and things like that. Because I can imagine with the name, it will be truly mixing the best with the best.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of things that are going to be installed for
Yeah.
everyone around the region, around the world. Yeah, it's sad that we have this lockdown pandemic going thing, but once it's over, I think we're gonna you know we're gonna really expand this market
If it's ever over.
if it's ever over. Yeah, put it that way.
Oh no, man. But nah, it's been really fun, like finding you again. You've got so much going on. So where can people find you across different social media channels?
So now they could look me up at Gotham.pw, which is
Yeah.
my official wrestling page. I've not opened one for music yet, since I just got back after a long time.
Yeah.
Would be opening one soon, probably. That's in the pipeline. But for now, you can look me up on that or on Facebook. It's Alibaba. They can
Brilliant.
they can look me up.
Oh no, but again, thank you for coming on, man. Like it was fun talking, and we'll have to do it again in the future once the ball's rolling a little bit more. We can talk about APAC again and more about Gila Gusti once it's
Once it's
more
out.
there, and once we know what the hell's happening with One Division, we'll have to talk about that as well.
Oh,
So,
definitely, man. And
um,
let's wait for Batman to be released as well. I'm sure we're
definitely.
gonna have a conversation on that.
But no, thank you for coming on, mate. It's been really fun finally talking to you.
It's fun. It's been a pleasure as well, and thank you for this opportunity for taking time off your busy schedule as well to get me here.
You're welcome. So everybody, make sure you do go follow Gotham across social medias. Go find APAC Wrestling, again, free on YouTube. So go check that out. Try something different. And if you've enjoyed this interview, I know we've spoken a lot about Shaukat. You can go check that interview out, which is actually the highest viewed interview of mine on YouTube. Is the Shaukat interview. So make sure you do go check that out and across the playlist of Southeast Asian wrestling with all your fantastic interviews. I've been Kate Johansson. That is Gotham. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.